You probably have heard of Desmond the drag kid. Well, Desmond isn't the only one. There are many drag kids, and apparently, I think it's that Desmond has been performing drag since he was 8 years old. Now he's 11. I made a video a little while ago about how Child Protective Services has been called on his family, and they were complaining about the constant investigations that ultimately found nothing. Well, now we have another story, this time from BuzzFeed, as of yesterday. Strangers keep calling Child Protective Services on this 11-year-old drag star. Desmond is Amazing was recently featured in a Pride ad for Converse shoes. Okay. Strangers keep calling Child Protective Services. Why? What does that mean? What is BuzzFeed trying to imply? You mean people are seeing this and they're concerned over what this child is doing? Let's make a few things clear. I don't care if somebody wants to play dress up or do, whatever. I don't care if Desmond is going to do an ad for shoes. I literally don't care. It's nothing to do with me. It's fine, whatever. People make commercials for shoes, whatever. The issue is, in this, Desmond has been performing it's interesting because they call it a drag performance and a costume change. But to anybody who knows what a strip club is, he's stripping. He's on stage, he removes clothing, and takes money from the audience. Many people view that as grooming. What do you think's going to happen when this kid grows up and views that as normal behavior? Look, I don't care if strippers want to be a stripper, but there is an issue of taking an 8-year-old minor and having them perform sexually suggestive performances. Now, of course, the people who pushed back on me said, it's not sexually suggestive, it's just a drag performance. Listen, I asked people that I know in my life that are liberal, left-leaning, who are familiar with strip clubs, who are sex-positive feminists, and they were shocked when they saw the video of Desmond pulling off his clothes. He's wearing clothing underneath. They called it a costume change. And then took money. That's quite literally what strippers do. I don't see how that has nothing to do with stripping. It's basically the same thing. Most people think that strip clubs require women to be fully nude. That's not true. Many, many strip clubs in many jurisdictions, especially religious areas, require women to remain fully clothed. So they do a costume change too. Let's read the story about Desmond and the police. A New York City family is once again facing calls from Child Protective Services after their son, an 11-year-old drag queen, was featured in a shoe ad. Desmond Napolis is better known by his drag name Desmond is Amazing. He first caught the drag bug while watching his mom, Wendy Napolis, watch RuPaul's Drag Race. It was almost like he thought they were princesses or something. And after that, he'd start taking things from around the house, like my clothes, and put them on and walk around the house like it was a runway. Wendy told BuzzFeed News. At first, Wendy wasn't sure how to handle Desmond's new interests. But after talking to a therapist, she decided to just let Desmond find his own way. Now, years later, here's a pint-sized star in his own right, performing at events and talking to his fans on social media, with mom's supervision. Not true. The supervision thing is not true, and this story it's so weird to see BuzzFeed framing the narrative in such a way. First of all, there's tons of videos of Desmond talking to fans on live streams without his parents nearby, and one particularly notorious example, he performs a gesture like he's snorting ketamine. He knows what it is. That made many people concerned. Why would this young boy know how to do this? In my opinion, I don't care if a kid sees a movie and understands what a drug reference is. He's 11 years old. The point is, that's not what's really happening. They're saying he's being supervised. That's not the case. You want to argue about supervision? Sure, I think it's fine for kids to be with family friends and to be on social media to an extent. The issue is, where do you draw the line? Do I care that kids play dress up and want to wear wigs? Like, no, of course not. Kids play dress up all the time. That's fine. The line for me is when you put the kid on stage and have them remove their clothes and take dollar bills from the audience at an adult club, and the only reason they're allowed in is because they're strictly performing and then leaving. There's a line. And I guess, I don't know what the end game is. I think it's just that the media, like I mentioned in the past several videos, Facebook is radicalizing people. If you want to be a part of the in-group, if you want to be a part of the tribe, you accept this, so nobody speaks out against it. Because if you do, you're now conservative. That's how insane it is. If you have found yourself traditionally liberal the whole time, and then said, hey, I kind of think we shouldn't have kids doing these kind of things, like pretending to snort drugs and doing sexually suggestive dances, and they call you a bigot because of it, well, you're being pushed out of the in-group. Some people want so desperately to remain in the in-group, they'll justify it and say it's okay. And it's really funny to me how people point the finger at me and claim I'm desperately trying to be in with these people. No, what are you talking about? I criticize these people all day. It's all I do. No, I stay true to my principles and my values, which fall on center-left politics. But I think this is going a step too far. And I'll tell you the bigger issue with it. Sure, fine, kid wants to play dress up, you want to have a drag kid, I get it. They shouldn't allow the kid in the club to do things that are akin to stripping. Whether you think it's not, it is basically the same thing. They're called bikini bars, where women have to remain fully clothed. So let's carry on. We'll read a little bit more. We had to let go of that thought. What are other people going to think? Because it made him happy, said Wendy. Well, parents are supposed to tell their kids not to do certain things, right? You know what? I want to mention something else too. When I made the video about Desmond, apparently it was Desmond's father who filed a false copyright strike against my channel. I appealed it. I won. I had to go through Twitter and talk to Team YouTube. It hit, I think, 6 other people that I was aware of, or 6 other videos. And I had to send those videos to Team YouTube asking that they help these other people. Because apparently everyone was messaging them and Team YouTube wasn't helping everybody. And I said, these are false copyright claims. Nothing, I'd be willing to bet, nothing in this video is owned by anyone. It's all fair use. It's a news article I'm commenting on. I'm willing to bet his family will probably file a strike against me because they're going to do a search for it and they want to remove anything critical of their family. The people who are calling Child Protective Services aren't doing it because they're bigots. They're doing it because they're concerned about a child. Let's read this. But with Desmond's rising star came a wave of harassment. No, calling authorities over a suspected crime isn't harassment. Sorry. He soon started showing up in conservative media in articles conflating his performance with child abuse, pedophilia, and exploitation. Well, I'll say this. Outside of those arguments, I have been to strip clubs. I know people who are strippers. I have asked them about this, and they told me going up on stage, removing clothing in exchange for money is basically the same thing. There's no real difference. Many clubs, like I mentioned, require women to keep their tops and bottoms on. Fully nude bars, some are only topless bars, and some require full clothing. So you can call it a drag performance, but clearly it's rooted in the same thing. Oh, but it's a costume change. What? To an undershirt and shorts? No, please. Sorry, I don't buy it. They're basically saying queer kids equal pedophilia and sexuality. It's really quite disgusting they're seeing kids like this, said Wendy. Well, gee, if you're an adult and you go to a strip club and a woman takes off her clothes and you give her money, and then they have a kid doing it, yeah, maybe that's why people think it's it's similar and overlapping. For whatever reason, the conservative media has really made a target of Desmond. No matter what it is, no matter what we do, they come after us. I think you'll realize that people take issue with a kid dancing on stage and pulling his clothes off. Yes, he's wearing clothes underneath. I'm not saying he's naked. That's when the call started. People who've never met the Annapolis family, mostly from out of state, started calling the authorities with complaints. The problem grew to encompass several different agencies, and at one point, Wendy said there were more than 200 open cases about Desmond. Since these complaints are all treated seriously by authorities, the family was subjected to home visits, and Desmond would often be pulled out of school for interviews with agents. None of the complaints have ever found wrongdoing, but earlier this year, Desmond was featured in a pride campaign for Converse, and the call started all over again. What do you think that means? Like, what do you think's happening? They say, they're getting the same kind of complaints. They're so frustrated and annoyed, Wendy said. We're going through another nightmare. Despite what the callers allege, Wendy said Desmond's performances are all kid-friendly, performed for all age crowds with no adult themes. That's not true. I'm pretty sure they've explained that the clubs that Desmond was performing at are for 21 and up only, and he's allowed to be there because he's a minor. I could be wrong. I'm sorry, he's allowed to be there as a performer only, but he is a minor. So I could be wrong, right? My understanding is that these are adult clubs. These are adult venues. These aren't all ages crowds. But again, hey, I could be wrong. They're reporting it is. That's a statement of fact. Desmond does collect tips, but like all other money he's been paid, it goes straight into a trust fund. That's not the issue. I don't care if a stripper strips and then puts the money in the trust fund. I don't care what she does with it. I actually don't care about stripping. But the issue here is, are we going to pretend like nothing is going on, or are we going to say, hey, maybe that's like stripping, right? These kids aren't performing adult shows, obviously. I would equate it closer to theater or drama class with a bunch of adults handing money to the kids. There's videos of this. How innocent is that? BuzzFeed doesn't do a good job of actually looking into this, apparently. Let's see if they actually have any. No, they don't. They just literally parrot what the parents are saying. That's journalism today. Desmond isn't the first drag kid to spark moral panic. Miss Mayhem, a 9-year-old performer, was also subject of anti-gay posts on conservative websites. I don't agree with that. If the kid wants to play dress up and take photos, this to me is fine. Whatever. Kids do this. It means nothing to me. The issue is, at what point do you draw a line? If Desmond is going to be doing Converse commercials, that's whatever. Don't ask me. I don't care. If they're going to be doing TV shows, also don't care. But when videos surface of children pulling off clothes for money, at some point, you got to say, hey, maybe we don't have to be comfortable with this. That clearly puts me in kind of a centrist position. If conservatives are saying the whole thing is wrong, and I'm saying I get kids play dress up, but moderates and conservatives are saying don't have children performing in adult venues, pulling their clothes off in exchange for money, a lot of people view that as grooming. You know what? I'm going to read how they end the story, and I'm over it. I'm over a lot of this. Wendy said she thinks these online abusers are just making a target of Desmond because he's so visible. Well, you can't complain about something you don't know about. But really, their problem was with all LGBT or gender nonconforming kids. Despite it, Desmond keeps performing. You see how they reduce this? I've brought up several times how liberals think conservatives are evil and conservatives think liberals are misguided. Well, now we're seeing a lot of people associated not with the left, not with the right, but against the left, saying the left is evil. Notch, for instance, the creator of Minecraft, said the left is evil. I don't think that's the case. I think there's many people who are evil. But see what they say? They always try to reduce the argument to a phobia. Like, I have absolutely zero issues with the LGBT community. I have an issue with children and protecting children. And that's a serious issue. So, whatever. I'm done. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m. Schedule is going to resume as normal, but we'll see how things develop.